Oh,
Whoa. And
okay.
uh,
Oh, that's it. You did it.
well, we'll see if we like it or not. You have to hold it this way. It keeps orientating it.
Oh, that's all right. Let's
Hold
see.
on. Let's see. Here, will you hold?
There. That worked. I'm on now.
And then you can test.
Okay.
And then
All right. I'm in the meeting.
maybe. So you'll be able to.
It just hasn't started yet.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
And then you need help with.
Good evening and welcome to the December 4th, 2024 Ashland Parks and Recreation Commission business meeting. I just called the meeting to order. And this item after that is approval of minutes. Is anybody going to have any changes to those minutes? Then our chair is asking for unanimous consent. Hearing no objection, the minutes have been approved. No additions or deletions to the agenda that I'm aware of. And that brings us to public forum. And I have two people that would like to speak. If you could both come up at once. They are Rebecca Kay and John Maurer, and tell us, I wonder if...
Chair?
I have to think. Should Rebecca's...
It's my understanding both of those are for the CIP, not for general.
They are. Normally they would be a public forum, but I see that now. Never mind. When we get to the, there are no public forum requests. There are two requests to speak to the CIP action item, which takes us now to the consent agenda. And unless there are objections, we'll go with the unanimous consent again. It's approved by unanimous consent. And we're all the way to number 6, which is the director's report. And we will be hearing...
It has to be the hearing aids, otherwise it's...
We do have one hybrid commissioner on site as well. So
That's right. There are 4 of us here, and our 5th, Commissioner Seffinger, is zooming in.
Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm pushing the right buttons.
No, you're not going to get it on there. I know, here they are.
Can we unmute? Thank you. Okay.
All right. Thank you for the record. Rocky Houston, Director, Ashland Parks and Recreation Department. Here we are, last meeting of the year, December 4th, 2024. And that hike there on the Wonder Trail picture occurred just a couple weeks ago. So we've got some active users still out in the park. Of course, the other photos are from when it was a little bit warmer out. Right into administration. We have now got a start date for Kirsten Kame. She's going to start next week on the 9th. She'll be our new Environmental Education Program Manager. We're excited to get her on board and start some good work with environmental education. Budget-wise, we've developed a plan and are implementing it to utilize the unspent fiscal year 24 funds to primarily address preventive maintenance needs, some strategic investments in material supplies and equipment. And so we've got a fairly aggressive plan to try to make sure that we're making the best investment of the funds we have, and we'll continue to make progress on those to make every dollar count for our park system. We are working on P cubed, which is policies, procedures, and practices. Just letting you know is that we are working on updating a format to provide some consistency for the department, which will be coming to you in first quarter of next year to kind of outlay what those new formats are and start the policy brigade. I anticipate that we have a couple years of continuous updating old policies and adding new policies, procedures, and practices to meet our system's needs. Trails Advisory Committee, we have 15 applications. Those end on December 15th. For anyone in the room or in the audience, you can go to that website or just to our website here at the City of Ashland to submit an application online. We'll be setting up those interviews. We're going to have little 15-minute interviews with a few questions with a small review committee to help facilitate the recommendations that the chair will be bringing forth to you guys, knock on wood, at our January meeting. Regular business meeting, that is. Last night, the Western Rivers Conservancy made a presentation to council in regards to the Madrone Ridge Forest Project, Protection Project. So if you may not know, there is a parcel that's on the northwest side of town. If you look up from Lithia Park, it's sort of that whole, I want to say westerly, I think it's westerly, sometimes it's north. I looked to Rick to confirm my internal compass is not I-5'd off a little bit, a little 45 degrees off. It's a 1,972 acre parcel that was slated for sale for potentially 15 home sites. The Western Rivers Conservancies worked with the owners to develop a purchase and sell agreement that has a 3-year option to purchase. So they have 3 years to come up with the funds. It's a wildland urban interface resiliency project that the city, through the Ashland Forest Resiliency Project, has already invested, I think, about $1 million in fuels reduction to help continue to ensure that it's a fire-safe area, as well as 25% of the acreage is in the watershed for Ashland Creek and our drinking water. The site provides a lot of potential opportunities for recreation, biodiversity, climate resiliency, and a climate flow resource attribute. And they presented this option to us, to the city, as a potential partner to explore the potential conveyance to the city. To see how it kind of fits into our current recreational system potentially is, on the left is the trail system. Those blue lines are our existing trails that kind of go around the property. There's some forest roads that are interconnected there as well. And then on the right side is a copy of a Strava map. And so Strava is, it records where people go. If you're a Strava user, usually the more intensive outdoor cyclists, runners, hikers utilize it. And it sort of creates a heat map. So the wider hot, if you're thinking of it like a heat, the wider those things are, is the more use there is. And that big area there is Lithia, and you can see as it goes up into the trail system, there's a lot of use. And if this was something the city did enter into, it would allow some ability to disperse some of that use, which is better for the users as well as for the environment. So their request was just to bring this to the attention of City Council. They're working on acquiring that property and get funding for that. They want to complete a management plan for the forest resources there. And have the city be part of that planning process. They want to develop a operations plan, again, to see what those costs and what those needs are long-term, and then allow the city to have that information to make a decision in the future whether or not to convey that. So they will probably be coming back in January with an agreement that would sort of work on that partnership. Moving now to recreation, we've got a new guide. It's coming out soon, days away. So set up your spring and late winter recreational opportunities. We also have the First Frost Community Skating event coming up on the 21st. It's going to be a band or a DJ? A DJ or a band?
A DJ.
A DJ. It's going to be rocking on the ice. And so that's going to be 4 to 9 p.m. It was so busy on, well, we don't call it Black Friday anymore, but the day after Thanksgiving that, I just couldn't even get in there with my own family. So it was really busy, is what I understand. It was $3,500 taken in just that one day. So this is the busy time between the holidays for the most use, and the temperature outside is really helping with keeping that ice being smooth, clean, and clear. Our volunteer services, our volunteers never stop. We had some outdoor school 7th and 8th graders up in the Orson Todd doing some cleanup up there. The Ashland Food Co-op did I think this is their 3rd quarterly cleanup at North Mountain Park. I hear that they, if you want to go out at that time with them, they provide really great beverages and snacks. I hear they're the best of the volunteers. I don't know why. Open space areas, every other Friday, y'all can go out and help remove scotch brooms. So that worksite changes every time. It's easy, scotch broom, it just comes out real nice and easy. No problems at all. But they started, the first work party was there at Strawberry Hall. And the docents just keep doing an amazing job. Last month, we had the largest number of visitors in the last 2 years that it's been reopened. So we just keep getting more and more people there. So I know last night it was dark, 5:30, and the door was still open. I didn't see anyone in there, but we're making sure we can get as many people in there as possible. The Project Feeder Watch on our environmental education side is started. It's an annual bird counting, watching exercise that occurs every Saturday until March 15th. So you can be a volunteer and count birds, or just come on down. And if you don't know how to watch a bird, there's a book on it. So I saw that book just yesterday. They'll show you how to do it. Salmon Watch. So we held some meetings to help support the 2025 field trips and education sessions to make those as effective as possible. So already planning ahead for the next cycle of outdoor education. And last year we counted the hours just there at North Mountain, 1,100 hours just at that one site. So continue to be thankful for all of you who are helping us keep these properties open, safe, and fun. Golf, you're going to notice the weather has changed the utilization. 539 rounds of golf. I think that's about 18 rounds a day still. So that's still a fairly brisk for the cold weather we've had, and just under 400 buckets of range balls. So it's still brisk out there, but it's the time of year where it's just a little harder to be out playing golf. Senior Services has been active as always. We had the Medicare navigation, so we have a volunteer on site weekly to kind of help people through the signing up of Medicare. They work through that group to set it up, and we just provide the space for the action to happen. There was an AARP Vital Aging Conference that occurred, had a meeting conference, and staff attended that. Access Energy Assistance Outreach was out on the 15th. SmokeWise class. It's not how to smoke, I believe. No, I'm just teasing. Home Share Oregon was started on the 26th, and they have representatives on site on 12 to 3 on Tuesdays to continue to help potential homeowners and renters connect to those resources. It's definitely a vital resource nowadays. We also have beginning line dancing starting real soon in January. So this is the beginning, so I might be able to qualify for this one. Partnerships, so we've got a
Quick
lot of partnerships.
interruption. That line dancing class is at the center, not in the Grove, right?
It is at
It
the
is at the
Grove.
Grove, okay, thank you.
Thanks for that clarification, Natalie. It sounds like we've got someone already interested. See, this is good. So we're working with Southern Oregon University to try to create a digital education program where SOU students would come and work with our patrons on how to work with these darn digital thingamajiggies that I need help with right now in setting up a new receiver. You push a couple buttons, it still doesn't work. Rural community health, so we're collaborating and having pharmacists come and do sort of medication counseling, and that'll be starting in January as well, so that's going to be a great benefit to the community. Ashland at Home, we now have our senior service elements in the newsletter, so that'll be an opportunity again to continue to get the message out. And Natalie, our superintendent, is in an educational video with the Jackson County Library Services. So you got to get to about 3/4 way through before you get to really see it. But it's a nice little video, and I don't think we have time to watch it tonight. And if I push the button, it probably wouldn't work. But you can go to their website or this YouTube channel and find it. But there was pie, so I was there on the 25th. So we had the annual firefighters union. They bring in pies, and whoever wants to show up gets a slice of pie. It was really good. I saw Mr. Lewis there as well, so it was a good time all the way around. And Lynette Stevens donated winter hats that she crocheted herself to make sure if you're like me and you have plenty of hair, you're able to keep warm this time of year. In operations, leaves are falling, and we're at that point where they've almost stopped falling, and the pictures aren't as good as they used to be, so we're able to get them all out of there. We're getting windfalls. We had that little windstorm that came through a couple weeks ago that did have nothing major, but we still have a lot of down limbs and trees working on. Irrigation team, it's off, so they're doing other things. They planted a couple Christmas trees. Maybe you noticed them. They're right in front of City Hall or right at the East Main Y, I'll call it, by the fire station. So replaced one that got touched by a car, and it's no longer with us. We also got that ice rink up and running and continue to operate that. And leaves, oh leaves, tis the season. East team, they helped set up the tables and everything to make sure that there was plenty of room for all of us to have the pie at the senior center. Janitorial team, they worked 7 days a week, so they were here on the holiday making sure they're open so that people that came out and who didn't shop or who wanted to get a hike in before they wrestled with those turkeys, our restrooms were open and clean for them. We had a little sewer repair at Garfield Park that got taken care of. And the David Grubbs Memorial was spruced up for the anniversary there at Hunter Park. So again, there's, I think there's a news piece that occurs every year. I know there's something that occurs, and so we make sure it's ready for that event. The outer parks and trails, as you recall, we had a fuels reduction contract earlier this year, and so now's the time to remove some of the brush piles, and so we've been taking care of those slash piles, rebuilding some benches at the bocce ball courts, I guess. Is courts the right term? I think so. For the two there at Sherwood Park. Boulevards is preparing for the events, the Halloween, the Festival of Lights, and are working on just outside here on this little section between us and the Grove, that little section along that was impacted from the use there. So we're getting quotes to kind of get that reestablished in a way that's going to hopefully be lower maintenance and handle its intended use. Planning, Well, we got the CIP. We're in the next phase, which is public comment tonight. So that is continue to move forward. We continue to get a robust public comment via email. So we're collecting all that, and you guys will hear more about that tonight and in a month. The PROS plan, or the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space, so that 10-year strategic plan that we're working on over 2025. We've got an RFP quote package sort of almost ready to go out to start soliciting for consultants. Those consultants will be helping us on a level of service model for our recreation programming services and our senior services. Projects, East Main, we're still at 90%. We've got a meeting scheduled for our cost estimate. That's been sort of the hanging chad for us to meet. So we're meeting next week to kind of go over a page turner, they call it, to kind of go through that and look at those costs to then help us come back to you with what phase one is going to be, and then we can get that moved forward to get that out for bid this spring of 2025. Hunter Tennis Courts, we've went out and solicited for consultants to do the bid packaging, design, engineering, and now we're just under the process of kind of putting that together so we can get started, hopefully by the beginning of January with that work. Again, to get that out to bid in the spring as well. And then the Butler Perazzi Fountain. So the great news is the foundation, I'm taking probably some of their thunder, they were able to raise the full amount, $800,000. We've got an updated on the condition assessment completed, which has allowed us now to start the process to hire a consultant to do the final bid package and restoration work for us so that we can get that out to bid as soon as possible as well. Our calendar is a little light this time of year. It is the season to be with the family and less recreation, but we talked about the project Feeder Watch. It's already started. We've got a balance seminar at the Senior Center coming up on, I think the 9th is the Monday. Yep. And then we've got First Frost, a seniors holiday party at the Senior Center, and fun with charades at the Senior Center. And of course, I think it's a Wednesday. Christmas is on a Wednesday this year. I won't be here, and all of our offices will be closed. So stay home, enjoy. Hopefully we'll get some snow down here on the valley floor. But before we leave, I want to thank you, Jim, for your service. You know, back before you started with the APRC, you were a fine young model. Swimming in the pool, having a great time. Through that time, you served a lot of roles here. You know, back in 2003, I found one of your speeches when you were going forth to get our budget as the chairperson. You know, and what you'll see consistently throughout all those photos, that smile and that humor. And so we've not changed you, only made you better. So we want to thank you for your service. We have a card here today, and you have to come to another meeting, and we got something else for you, cake. But that's going to be on the 17th? 16th at when we bring in and nominate your replacement, or whatever the right term is, the oath. We're going to have you there as well to celebrate your time with us as well. Unreplaceable. That is correct. But thank you. And Stephanie, you know, I Googled photos of you, and Gwen Stefani kept coming up. And so I thought, you know, that must have been your name before. And if you notice, you favor red, same smile. We want to thank you. This is your second tour of duty with us. You had a tour of duty with council as well. Again, just like Jim, smiles. That's what recreation provides. All these memories just lightens the heart. And so again, we want to thank you, Stephanie, for your work with us. We appreciate it. I'm sure I speak on all the staff and your colleagues as commissioners. With that, I'll leave it for any questions.
Can we get Commissioner Seffinger on the screen so I can tell when she wants to speak? Or we have technical problem with it?
I spoke with the gentleman in the back room earlier this evening, and he said no.
Oh,
But I'll double check with him.
okay.
But I think she's muted though, so we need to take her mute off.
That's good. And then she can speak up anyway when we get to this point. Yes. A little, can we make it louder? Louder?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Just try to kind of speak right into whatever your microphone looks like.
Okay, does this look like you can hear it now?
That's pretty good.
All right. Well, I just wanted to say that I feel like I'm leaving the park and recreation system in good hands with our new, with Rocky coming aboard and our staff and what we're doing to work with the city. I think all of these things will show that we're making leaps and bounds of progress. I feel very proud of the work that all of our staff is doing now, and I also feel like it's important to note the wide range of things that parks and recreation do. Our senior program is amazing. It keeps people in their homes and out of nursing homes, which is a fantastic thing. We work on educating young people so they're stewards of our forests. We've done policies with pesticide reduction. We've worked on trails. So what Parks does for our community goes far beyond what many park systems do. And I'm so proud to have been part of that. And I thank the current commissioners and welcome the new commissioners aboard. So let's have a great 2025. Thanks.
That sounds wonderful. By the way, we have your picture now, and we figured out how to turn the sound up, so it's welcome. I'm going to go back one step here. Does anybody have any questions for Director Houston about his report or comments? Nope. We'll move on then. And that means we're moving to the first business item, which is approval. It's an action item of the 2025 APRC meeting schedule. And I think that you can use that microphone. I think perhaps the director has a comment or two.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So in your packet, you have a schedule for the meetings. The request that we have this year is primarily is to adopt the schedule that we have put in front of you. Hopefully it misses all the major holidays and is consistent with our business needs. And we are requesting that we modify our study session setup. So during the COVID period, we held those virtually. Now that we're outside of COVID, we would like to come back to an in-person forum and provide a hybrid option as needed for commissioners to make attendance. But I'm seeking that because for me, this is an easier way for me to collect information and engage with all of you to do the important business that we have. The additional asterisk that I will want to put out is on January 17th. It's a Friday. We have a work plan retreat scheduled to kind of work on the priorities for the next budget 2-year biennium. And that'll be 10 a.m. On that Friday at the Lithia Cabin. Otherwise, all the others meetings would be here in Chambers. And that will be a 2-hour meeting there on the 17th.
And that's a public meeting.
Yes, all of these are public meetings. And we are also providing an option for anyone who has accessibility needs for our meetings. You know, they can contact Nancy to work that out and see if we can accommodate people.
Right, and it's a small room.
Yeah.
But are we going to try to put that up on Zoom so people can participate that way?
We definitely could.
We hadn't
They have
talked
the
about that
capability
yet.
there with,
Okay.
with our technology.
I just want to make one comment and then I'll ask for a motion, unless anybody else has a clarifying question. I've been working with the director on the idea of going back to in-person study sessions because I favored that, and my big concern was it would be more work for them to do it here than it was on Zoom, and it turned out to be the opposite. It just works better for everybody if we're all sitting in the same room. So I support that. Now, does anybody else have a motion then? I don't think we need to have the Zoom part in the motion because we change that when we need to. But Commissioner Lunt, a motion, and you can add it if you want.
I move that we approve the 2025 APRC meeting schedule as presented.
A second.
Second.
Thank you. I want to speak to it. Commissioner Lunt? No. Would you like to speak to it? Commissioner Adams?
I think the one request that I would make, and of course this is the schedule that I see in the packet is really just the first quarter of the year, or am I not looking at the right page?
It's the whole thing.
Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry. I was looking at the more detailed plan below it.
Right.
And so I guess my comment more relates to that I'd love to see as we're fleshing out this whole year, some of those ongoing work projects peppered through that schedule to sort of keep us accounted to it. But again, that doesn't have to do with the whole year plan.
Okay. Comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bachmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner Lant,
Yes.
Commissioner Sevinger.
Yes.
All yes, motion passes.
I'll remember to look at the screen in case you want to say something, Commissioner Seppinger.
Thanks.
That's A is now behind us, and we're going on to B in business, which is the Ashland Parks Foundation Annual Report. And I see that President of the Board of that organization, Mike Gardner, and an assistant are coming up to speak to us.
Good evening, park commissioners and staff. I wanted to clarify a couple things that Director Houston said. First of all, the bocce ball, it is a court, so that is accurate. And a couple weeks ago, he talked about the boards around the skating rink, and those are dasher boards. That's a correct terminology. And also a short little fun fact in Major League Baseball history, there's been 24 perfect games thrown. 27 batters, no one reaches base, 27 outs. Just a fun fact for you all. Okay. Well, I'm here tonight with Holly Rosser, who's our administrative staff leader for the foundation, to kind of recap the adventures of the Ashland Parks Foundation over the last year, 2024. We brought along a few pictures of mostly of Lithia Park in and around the Japanese Garden and the Butler Parazzi Fountain, which are two of the projects that were pretty much on our radar for this past year. So first of all, one of the largest support efforts that we undertook this year was the raising of private funds for supporting the restoration of the Butler Parazzi Fountain. As you know, the iconic, now almost 109-year-old fountain is showing its age, and and through the help of the Park Commission, who agreed with the foundation that we should move forward with the fundraising and ultimately the restoration, the foundation put together a steering committee team. And over the last year and a half, we were able to raise $800,000 from private sources. A couple state grants in there too, but primarily most of the money was all from private sources. And the team that we assembled, some foundation members, but a lot of great community members that really assisted in going out and turning over every rock, calling on people, calling them again, calling them a third time, and it was I'm just happy to announce that we were successful in that, and it was quite an undertaking. As Director Houston pointed out, we're kind of moving into the next phase of trying to keep that project online. It's an APRC project. Director Houston and Park Superintendent Caldwell are doing the heavy lifting, and we have a small working group from the foundation with Commissioner Lewis, myself, Mark Knox, and Dale Sjostrom that are trying to assist if we can any way we can to the park staff on that. So we're pretty excited about that project. Next, also over this past year, there's been multiple projects in the Japanese garden. We provided a short printout of some of the things that, they weren't planned. The pond restoration or repair, I guess is what it would be, was not a planned event. The death of some of the black pines was not a planned event, but money was able to be funneled through the Park Foundation to support those projects and to really make a difference in the garden, I believe, this past year. Also included in that was some garden guide training, or the docent training, as well as some pruning consultation that was once again supported by funds that were funneled through the Park Foundation to APRC to get those projects done. The next thing I wanted to point out was a short list of APRC grants that, so every year the department heads, or the superintendents, I guess it would be, or the director, would come to the Parks Foundation to tap into some of the resources that are identified on our balance sheet, that are funds that are available to Ashland Parks and Recreation. And this is just a short list of items that were granted this year. Some of them, as you can see, are a couple of the items that I already spoke to in the Japanese garden, as well as the volunteer dinner, the Lower Duck Pond renovation, and bicycle safety program. So those are all things that they may or may not happen without the foundation being able to funnel the money to APRC. But we're glad to be here, and I'm glad that money is available to the parks. So finally, if you go to the Ashland Parks Foundation website, you can locate a donate button there, and you will come to a drop-down menu that will actually list several items that individuals in the public can donate to the foundation to support programs within Ashland Parks and Recreation, such as Ashland Japanese Garden, APRC Senior Services. We're still accepting money for the Butler Protze Foundation, or fountain restoration. Crystallizing Our Call, if you remember, that's the artwork that's scheduled to be going into Ashland Creek Park. Hope to get an update on that that we would relay to the commission here within the next couple months, because we have some reporting internally we need to do with that project. But you can still donate to that online through our website. The Foundation General Fund. You can donate money to the Nature Center, and also pickleball. Anybody that wants to donate to pickleball in Ashland, we have a fund that's been started and is accumulating funds for future development of that sport here in Ashland. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions that you might have for Holly or I.
Can I get Commissioner Seppinger back, please? Okay, I just have a comment, which is we're very fortunate. The Parks Department, not the Commission, very fortunate to have this foundation working so hard for the parks and recreation and senior services. And to my knowledge, there's no foundation for the electric department or the public works department or the police department. So it's unique, and it's very, very helpful. I mean, there's a lot of dollars flowing through the foundation that's helping us move forward with projects that we otherwise would have more trouble getting to. So thank you very much for that. And anybody else have a comment or a question for?
Yeah, I forgot to mention, so on that grant sheet that we looked at, you can see that there's grants going to the Parks Division, to the Recreation Division, to the Senior Services Division.
Mm-hmm.
We're a non-partisan nonprofit. We'll give to any division within Ashland Parks. and
Equal
Rec.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Commissioner Seppinger would like to say something.
Sure, I just will be brief here. I really am so happy, Mike Gardner, that you've stepped up to be a park commissioner again. The work that you've done for the city is incredible, so thank you for that. And the work that is being done in the Japanese garden, the ceremonies there, the connection with the cultural, understanding culture is another part that the Japanese garden, it's not just a place, it's also wonderful activities that are occurring there. So thank you again for that. I did want to find out, is donating to the Park Commission, is that through the Cultural Trust, or is that entirely different?
Could you repeat that question?
Sure. You can, in Oregon, you can donate to some cultural activities and donate similar amounts to the Cultural Trust to get credit for that on your taxes. I just was wanting to find out if that was possible with the Park Foundation or not.
You know, I can't answer that question, unfortunately.
It's a very good question. I don't think any of us can answer it. Oh, maybe Director Houston.
I don't believe so. I believe the Cultural Trust has programs, so you'd have to be established as one of their programs. However, all donations to a 501c3 like the City of Ashland Parks Foundation are tax deductible. And I'm sure that the foundation will send you a beautiful receipt that you can bring to your tax person. Anyone in I know we missed the big giving day. That was yesterday, right? But just as a reminder, all of those donations are tax deductible. Mm-hmm. But please consult your tax consultant.
It's a paid political
great thing to give to.
Yeah. I think the Cultural Trust there's a particular list of organizations. Oregon Shakespeare Festival is on it. So if you want to take advantage of that, it's a state tax credit. So essentially that money that you give to the Oregon Shakespeare festival through the cultural trust comes back to you dollar for dollar. So there's no reason that every resident of our town that pays taxes in the state of Oregon should not donate to that. So it's a great program. Glad you brought it up, Steph, even though the Parks Foundation isn't on it.
But just to follow up with what Director Houston said, so since we are a 501c3 nonprofit, any donation to the Parks Foundation is potentially tax deductible, and we do send out a thank you letter or receipt on every donation that we get. In fact, I signed 595 letters on the Butler Perazzi Fountain, so we're pretty diligent on that.
Thank you all. I think we're probably done, and thank you too for the presentation, and look forward to seeing you in the very near future there, President Gardner.
See you later.
Commissioner-elect. Okay. Next item is the Senior Services Division Annual Report, and I believe the Superintendent Metler will be giving us that one.
Okay, I remember to turn it on this time. Good evening, commissioners and everyone watching from home. Thank you for this opportunity to give an update on the work of the Senior Services Division. This is the first time that I have reported to the commission about the Senior Services Division. I was the Senior Services Coordinator from 2018 to 2023, and when former Superintendent Eileen Glatt retired in January of this year, I stepped into the superintendent role, first in an interim capacity, and then in the spring in the permanent role. And I've been with Ashland Parks and Rec and at the Senior Center since May of 2017, when I started as a volunteer with the Meals Program. So just to provide a little bit more background information for the public, in 2018, what was called the Senior Program was redesigned to be the Senior Services Division to better meet the needs of our growing senior population in Ashland. The newly formed Ashland Senior Advisory Committee recommended a mission and goals to guide the division's work. I know these are in the packet, but I have included them here for those who don't have access to the packet. So our mission is to enhance the lives of seniors by promoting healthy aging, well-being, dignity, and independence. We empower older adults as valued, contributing members of the community, and together advocate for the diverse needs of seniors and their families throughout Ashland. Along with the mission, the Ashland Senior Advisory Committee, or ASAC, also developed goals which were based on a community survey and input from the prior ad hoc Senior Program Advisory Committee. Those are summarized here: to build partnerships with the many local and regional organizations that serve seniors, to foster collaboration and create a stronger safety net, to identify and reach frail or vulnerable seniors who may be isolated and connect them to services that can help maintain their independence and well-being, to raise community awareness of senior needs, available resources, the wide range of seniors and families served, and special Ashland Senior Service Division initiatives, to advocate for the needs of Ashland seniors and provide input to the City of Ashland and other entities such as regional partnerships regarding policies that affect seniors, to evaluate, maintain, improve, and add facilities to ensure sufficient, safe, and accessible venues for programs and activities, to expand programs, providing recreation, education, and health promotion programs, and to raise awareness of and diversify programs to serve a wider range of senior ages and needs. And finally, to provide older adults and their families with information and referrals to services, benefits, and supports for seniors. So these were adopted in 2019. and they were last evaluated in January of 2021. So I think that this could be a good task for ASAC in the coming year to take another look at those goals again. In terms of our operations, we currently have 2 staff members, permanent staff members, a full-time senior services superintendent, myself, and a full-time senior services coordinator. We also, through Express Professionals, have basically a full-time temp as an office assistant who's been with us serving in that role since October of 2023. We're able to pay for that with some salary savings and grant savings through the end of the biennium. And then we also rely on a lot of volunteer help, including office volunteers who help with some reception, decorating our building for the holidays and things that wouldn't get done if we didn't have their help. Currently, we're open to the public Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Originally, those hours were Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 3:30, but when our office assistant was unfunded during budget cuts in 2022, we had to contract due to lower staffing. Our partner, Food and Friends, however, does serve lunch Monday through Friday. So we do have staff on site 5 days a week. We're just not generally running programs. There's been some leakage because we have no option other than to schedule stuff on Fridays sometimes. I'm hopeful that if we can get restored to the pre-pandemic staffing of 3 staff people, that we'll be able to open at least till 1 p.m. on Fridays, which will make us more available to the public and allow us to offer some new classes and activities. This is a pretty comprehensive list, but there's probably stuff I've left off of the kind of services that we offer. So information and referral and resource consultations, which are more in-depth information and referral, seminars and workshops, movement classes. Currently we have Tai Chi, yoga, line dancing, and strength and balance training. Recreation and social activities, special events. I'll be inviting you all to our holiday party on December 20th, so I'll send that out probably sometime next week. We have volunteers that help people with advanced directives, digital literacy instruction. We partner with RVTD and the city's Public Works Department to offer prepaid bus passes and Valley Lift passes. The Valley Lift is a paratransit service. We partner with the Ashland Community Food Bank to have a small food pantry on site. We have a monthly newsletter, a free library, dementia caregiver support group through the Alzheimer's Association. And this year we partnered up with the Ashland Utility Billing Department to provide additional customer service on site at Ashland Senior Center, primarily for older customers. And then here's the data. So we haven't finished compiling our November statistics, so this just goes through October, but you can see that we're averaging 1,669 visits per month, and so that is people that participate in our classes, people that call us or drop in for information, people that our on-site partners provide services to, and it varies by day depending on what our activities are, but roughly that means we're serving about 55 people a day. You can see it's trending up. That's probably a holiday thing because we have some big events that will be well attended. But in general, this is a comparison of average visits per month since the division was established in 2018. And you can see that our monthly average of 1669 is higher than any of the previous years. You'll notice that dip there, particularly in the yellow line for fitness, rec, and education events, and that's when our building was closed because of the pandemic. So it took a while to build that back up, but we're now going strong again. And continue to see increasing engagement with the community. I should have mentioned also that in terms of demographics, almost a quarter of Ashland residents are age 65 and above, and 45% are age 50 and above. And our programs, with the exception of some of the financial assistance programs, are for folks age 50 and above. This is kind of the same information, but average visits per month, and this was total visits per year. But again, you can see that trend where we took a hit during the pandemic, but we've rebounded and beyond. And I also wanted to show the contributions of our volunteers. So we really couldn't do what we do without a large number of volunteers. They teach our classes, they help serve the meals, they help through our partner organizations, they literally help in our office with reception, they help providing services like computer tutoring. So we are averaging almost 100 hours a month from volunteers. And so that just kind of captures it. We're relying a little less heavily on them now that we have our temporary office assistant. But we have some truly wonderful community members that are always ready to be on call to support us. I wanted to show some photos. And so these are all photos from this year. I didn't cheat and try to sneak in anything from a previous year. So we had an accessible yoga class. We're going to try to bring that back. There wasn't enough enrollment, but we definitely have people that want to engage in our programs and don't have the physical ability for some of the classes. There's a picture of our art class, and then there's a picture of some of our community members enjoying the Food and Friends lunch. This is some of our fun events and educational events that we had this year. We had Peter Finkel do a history of the Plaza Walk. We partner with Smokewise under the fire department to teach classes about how to keep safe during smoke season. We've had incredible guitar performances with world-class performers brought to us by the Guitar Society of Southern Oregon, and as well as some wonderful local musicians like Ashland Brass that always plays at our ice cream social. And then there you can see our city emergency manager doing some disaster prep, which is something we try to do in late spring, early summer. So that's at the forefront of people's minds. And then finally, some pictures of our partners. So here we have the police department in the bottom left. They help us put our community cookout on in the summer. We do a lot of work with the AARP driver safety program, and they gave us a recognition award for that. So we appreciate that. That's hanging up at the senior center now. SHIBA is the organization that helps with Medicare counseling, senior health insurance benefits assistance. So they're actually in the building twice a week right now because it's open enrollment. Village at Valley View provides in-kind donations of food for lots of our events. And then at the bottom there is Janine Greenwell, who's the older adult behavioral health specialist with the County Health and Human Services. And she'll be coming back in February and March to teach the Healthy Brain and Aging class again. And this is probably also left people off of this, but I just wanted to show the scale of how many partners we have. The ones in red are new partnerships that we've more recently established. This captures people that provide staff members on site at the senior center to meet with Ashland residents, people that run programs like the Food and Friends program in the building, people that sponsor our events or otherwise support the work that we do. And then here's our contact information. If anyone is interested in engaging in our programs or knows a senior in their life who might benefit or has concerns about anyone in the community, please do reach out to us. We will get back to you in just a couple of business days. So we've got our office hours, our email, our phone number, and our website, which we try to keep updated. Thank you. I'm ready for any questions.
Thank you, and we're going to get Commissioner Suffinger back in the room here. Thank you. It was a wonderful presentation. It's good to see that division, which is serving a group of the fastest growing demographic in Ashland, which most people know, I hope by now. Back in the day when I was on the RV-COG SAC, we were constantly reminded that 10,000 baby boomers a day are turning 65. And that's going to continue for some time. And the generations after that is going to be a little plateau and it's going to go back up again. So this, it's worldwide, but we're talking about Ashland. We're going to have more and more seniors that are going to need these services. So growing the program is a good thing. Thank you very much for all that data. Anybody else have a comment or question? Commissioner Lant?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for the presentation. I learned from it. Thank you. My question is, the temporary position, if the requested full-time position was granted, would the temporary position remain or would it go away?
It would go away. The intention is to have a full-time position replace the temporary position to ensure our operational stability.
And a follow-up, if I may. In that case, what kind of a additional costs are involved? Because it sounds like the temporary person was almost full-time.
If I may, Chair, Rocky, Director. So the main cost is the benefits package. And at this salary range, it's about $1 for dollar, so it doubles the cost in order to have a full-time employee. But with that comes that consistency of having that person that knows our programs, knows our services, knows our patrons. Whereas typically with a temporary employee, that's only for 6 months out of the year or part-time for a full year. This is a unique situation where we've extended this beyond it. And we plan to continue to extend this through the end of this fiscal year as we go into the budgeting cycle. And that's next couple meetings for us to talk about that proposed budget, to look at that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Let's see. Okay, the next item is Lithia Park Master Plan project priorities, not to be confused with the public comment section. So this is D, and this will be Director Houston.
Thank you. For the record, Rocky Houston, Director. I do that every time. I don't know why. It's just the way I was taught. So today in front of you is bringing back from our study session in November discussions about the prioritization. Today we'll talk about the process we've gone through since the adoption of the master plan back in October. We will look at the project priorities and then talk about the budgeting process. And just to clarify, is this action item that we have in front of you today is not a budgetary item. This is a item to move forward the priorities we have in front of you for staff to work on and integrate into our operations and into our budgeting process. So, go ahead, sir. Okay. So, as you all may recall, the master plan for Lithia Park developed 37 recommendations to implement the vision and the direction. Those were grouped into 4 key themes. The meander, which is about the experience throughout the property and its historical alignment from a highly developed to a wild experience. The creek to canopy, which is in regards to the flora and fauna, the natural biosphere in regards to the core element of the park. The access and connection, which is again talking about how people get through it, making sure we're consistent with universal design, accessibility, not only from trails and pathways, but also for our other facilities to make sure that all of our users can use the park. And then the Lithia Park Legacy, which is it's on the National Register, at least the lower 42 acres. It's over 100 years old, and there is a lot of historic elements that we want to continue to honor and move forward through our major maintenance and other practices, as well as maybe move some of those things to ensure that they're not impacted by those seasonal high water events, the flood, last one being in '97. Once we kind of looked at those, the first process we did is we went through all those recommendations and ranked them utilizing our rubric for our capital projects to kind of help us identify where those priorities are. Once we did that, then we looked at the different type of recommendations into project types. So again, in our thinking of it like a capital or operational, we have operations, routine maintenance things that are identified in recommendations. We have maintenance, which could be major maintenance, preventive maintenance, or other maintenance activities. We have park enhancements, so creating new elements of the park, and planning in regards to planning for being fire-wise, planning for continued uses, et cetera. And so we, again, to try to start to think about it, all of our priorities and projects in the same way we look at any other projects for our system. When we did that, we identified that 48% of the recommendations were around park enhancements, 34% was around park maintenance, whether that was major maintenance or routine, 9% around acquisitions, and 9% around planning. So this again allowed us to then move forward and then look at actual projects that would meet those recommendations. And so we started with a list that we presented back on November during our study session, and with a list of some of those projects that we thought would move forward those recommendations and move forward the master plan. And through that process, we also looked to determine, is this a capital project? So it's something that's going to have to go through our CIP process, or is this a maintenance or operation task that would be part of our typical O&M budgeting process? Those are key for us in regards to how we move forward next in doing that. Through that process, we identified these projects as the core priorities in the next biennium. So that's fuels reduction. Some of these projects we're working on now, so they're ongoing. So we have fuels reduction, which is continuing to manage fuels and mitigate the risk for wildfires in the park. Hazard tree removal, especially our evergreen trees, we continue to have issues with those dying and creating hazards, as well as even some oak trees over the summer. We had a couple of those come down over the trail. The Japanese garden is, we have an existing project that we're working on ADA access improvements and continue to work forward with that. And I apologize, up on the screen and in your packet is a spreadsheet that identifies the project name, the recommendation number in the master plan that it's referenced to, the theme that reference number is associated with, what we've identified that project type to be, and then whether that is it's in our capital improvement plan already, or it's an operation and maintenance task that we need to focus on for that operational budget and prioritization. So I do apologize for not breaking that all down as I went through these projects. Traffic speed and road design, so that's again another thing to work on safety, sort of the 3 speeds model that's identified in there, as well as accessibility elements with the park, which is an operations task. Environmental education programming, so that is something with our new managers looking how to improve and increase sort of that work, whether it's citizen science or just tours through the park throughout the next biennium. The interpretation update, so the interpretation of the plant species that are in the park that was, I think, placed back in the 80s. We're looking to update that with new signs. I'll get my word out. New signs. Right now they are numbered 1 to, I believe, 100, but some of those species, those examples are no longer there. So you've got a sign in front of not a black oak, but grass. And so as such, we were looking to not have those numbers. So if we do have the cycle of life occurring, what is there, we can just remove it without having to renumber all of those. As well as there'll be a website, GIS-based element where people can download that, and QR codes, those sort of elements to help us engage with that. A trail map update, so again, is to update the map and focus on loops. There was a couple focuses in the master plan about trying to kind of create loop opportunities to kind of help guide people. We have some of that already, but this is a relook at that. The pump track development at East Main Community Park. So there was a recommendation to either acquire property to help create that asset or help it contribute to master planning, we've identified that this would meet that master plan element, just in a different park, but still meeting the city's needs. There's restroom replacement and ADA improvements, so that's something that we've got in our CIP, not in the next 2 years, but planned over the next 6 years to make those improvements in regards to some of our restrooms, make them more accessible and flood resistant. And then the memorial and public art policy, so again, is continue to make sure that we're managing the asset and keeping its current character. That was a policy that the commission has already adopted, and we're working, I think, on our first public art review on that now. So what I'm asking for and what the process as I see it moving forward is tonight asking for an action to approve or adopt these priorities for the Lithia Park Master Plan for staff to work on over the next 2 years. If that is approved, we will work to ensure that the capital items are identified in the capital improvement plan that we're hearing comments on tonight and looking to adopt in January. And then as we prepare our budget for the next biennium, we will work to make sure that those priorities are identified and worked on over the next 2 years. And with that, I'm open for any questions.
I have a clarifying question, I think. It's a clarifying question before we get into the deliberation part of this. The environmental education programming, that's housed, that's we've hired somebody just recently.
Yes, they'll
And
start on the 9th.
That's housed at the Nature Center.
Yes.
Will they be, will they be working on environmental programming at other parks, as we were looking at Lithia Park here? Is that something that's going to happen?
That's our intent, is to look holistically at the community and have programming, whether we provide it or partners provide it, making sure that we are promoting all of those environmental education activities to the community members. So our intent is to not have a one-stop shop, but to look at other sites to bring forth those educational opportunities.
That's great, thank you. Anybody else have a question before we move forward? I see Commissioner Seffinger. You're on.
Yeah, I was just wondering about where the sidewalk at Windburn Way is it included with this, or where is that in priorities for Lithia Park?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. And I'm trying to get to the slide number so I speak correctly. So the traffic speed and road design, which meets recommendations 3, 18, and 20, that sidewalk that you're referencing is part of that. And so we're looking at different options that could make it safer for all 3 speeds through the park. And a sidewalk would be one of those options that we'd be looking at considering.
Thank you for that.
And Commissioner Lunt had something to say? Question, maybe?
You referenced 37 recommendations, but those were broad, and there was a number, each one of those recommendations had a number of objectives within them. And so does this list here, this is, of all those recommendations, there's probably 100 at least total. These are what staff came up with looked at all those, and these are the ones that staff thought were the most important or the most doable, or what?
Good question, Commissioner. When we reviewed the prioritization, we had looked at those those recommendations that were highest in that rubric, and so we focused on activities that we're currently working on. So low-hanging fruit, if we're already working on it, and it's matching that, as well as those other elements that we thought that would have a big benefit. We wanted to make sure that we weren't just focusing on one of the different themes, trying to make sure that there was a dispersed utilization of all those things being implemented over the next year. So these are the things that we feel that are a high priority in meeting that scoring in regards to that, as well as doable over this next budget cycle.
Thank you. May I follow up? So I'd like to talk about the traffic speed and road design a little bit. So it doesn't list it as a CIP. It says it's a operation and management task. My understanding was that there's a number of options, but there is no decision, even close to making a decision on exactly what we're going to do there. And one of the options would be to put a sidewalk in adjacent to this. And if that were the option, it seems to me this would clearly be a CIP item. So since we don't know, it seems like it seems to make more sense to say, well, it possibly could be a CIP rather than to say it isn't one, which is the way it's written here. It's not a CIP item.
That is correct. I believe staff's perspective is during this biennium that we would be assessing those options and potentially looking at piloting an alternative or a solution or something, a road diet or other elements that would help move forward where it would allow us to move forward to a capital project. If we got to a point in this fiscal year where a capital project looked like it was needed to be done this budget cycle, it is in our project list for our CIP, so we would be able to come back and look to amend our capital budget to do that work if it did deem to be a capital project. But our assumptions were that it was going to take us more than 12 months to kind of go through this process. And if that's the case, we wouldn't be having a capital project delivered until the next biennium.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm just going to repeat some of that back to make sure I understand it. What we're talking about, there are two budget periods that we're coming up here. We have one more. We're finishing up this year, and then we're talking about a 2-year to follow. And did you just say, I think, that's why I'm repeating it, that depending on how much we get done in the current biennium, that could change the nature of this and we would revise it. In other words, what we're approving here is a plan that could change.
So this this is, I say, direction for staff on what to be working on and to implement the master plan. The budgeting process would be a secondary issue. So in regards to this specific priority, if the work that we did this calendar year, fiscal year, and the next biennial budget got to a point where it appeared that it could be a capital project and we wanted to move forward and act on it, we would be asking the commissioners to modify the capital budget if it was needed to do that, because it's already in our capital improvement plan as an identified project that allows us to, it's on the list, for lack of a better way, to allow us to then take action if it's approved by a commission.
Thank you. Anybody else? Are we ready for a motion? Commissioner Lant?
Well, okay, I'll make a motion.
Then we can deliberate some more.
I just want to preamble this by saying that this is, as I see it, is a work list, the first work list for the for work on addressing the Lithia Park Master Plan. And it's not really priorities because it's not prioritized. But I think it should be at least somewhat. I'm thinking to a motion that gives a couple of these high priority or the top priority, and then also approve the the work list. So it would do both those things. Because in my mind, the traffic speed and road design is the highest priority. It's for a couple of reasons. One, it's been on the list for action for the last 10 years at least. And the other thing is it affects so many people from a safety standpoint. So I'd like to, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion.
I just want to ask our parliamentarian a question. Is what Commissioner Lant is talking about fit what we noticed?
Yeah.
It's all within the master plan that Rocky presented. So it sounds like what Commissioner Lon's proposal is a reprioritization of. Did I phrase that right?
We've created a list of priorities with no rank, and what Commissioner Lant is seeking is to identify some ranking to that work plan.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Yes, to your answer, you can go ahead and however the commission wants to proceed in prioritizing. Yeah.
Thank you.
May I make a suggestion? You can take it or not. I might suggest that we approve the list as presented and then perhaps make a second motion about placing high priority. I support your contention that should receive the highest priority of this list, just to name that specifically as a commission to sort of give staff some marching orders. Hey, we want this to get top attention as a separate motion, but you can do it together if you want to. That would just be my suggestion. I'll vote for it either way.
I think what you're suggesting is simpler, and
It's cleaner. Yeah, I would prefer that.
so I move that we approve the Lithia Park Master Plan project work list as presented.
I'll second that.
Would you like to speak to the motion?
And I noticed that I didn't say priorities because, again, it's a work list, and so that's what I called it. This is, in a way, this is kind of modest, except for the Windburn Way traffic speed and road design. That's a major project. And I think it's good that rather than, there's a lot of things that could have been on here. For example, a lot of controversial things and some small things. Like, for example, a small thing would be putting gravel in the creek to enhance fish, which is one of the recommendations or part of recommendation. A big one would be something like trying to address the Granite Street or the Granite Reservoir swimming hole. That's huge. So I think I like the fact that this has the potential to have one really major effort, and everything else is things that kind of are part of what staff does. A few of them, like the trail maps, that's going to require some work. But only having one big project, I think, is really actually. I like that, and I commend staff for not biting off more they can chew here. And also acknowledge that it still may be, because a lot of things come up and you end up not having the time you think you have. But I commend staff for trying to be realistic here. And so I hope everyone can approve this motion. And then I would like to have a follow-up motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams, do you like to speak to the second?
No, I would second everything that Commissioner Lant just said. You do a 100-year master plan that's supposed to be pointing attention for the next century, and you kind of get the itchy about wanting to do it all at once. And of course, we only have so many people and so many hours in a day, and I think this is a real reasonable list. I agree with what Commissioner Lant said about, kind of picking one big project for the first chunk of time. And yeah, Windburn Way it's important and it's big.
Commissioner Lewis? Commissioner Seppinger? Okay. Let's have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Seppinger?
She said yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bachmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner Lant.
Yes.
All yes, motion passes.
And the second motion, Commissioner Lunt.
I move that we direct staff to make the traffic speed and road design for the Windburn Way through Lithia Park the priority from the work list that we just approved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Once again, Commissioner Lunt, you have more to say about that?
No, I think I've said
Okay.
enough.
And Commissioner Adams?
Yeah, ditto.
Okay. Anybody else like to speak to it? Commissioner Seffinger?
Yes, I think this is an extremely important project that addresses the fact that because Lithia Park decided not to allow dogs in the 1990s, people with dogs, which is a major part of our walking population, have to walk on the street. It makes it very unsafe. So I actually would like this to go to the Trails Committee as they're looking at the development of also the bike's needs to get to town safely, to see if the way this is arranged will meet the needs of all of those groups.
Thank you.
Commissioner Seffinger,
Yes,
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bachmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
and Commissioner Lant.
Yes.
All yes, motion passes.
Thank you all. And that concludes that item. And now we are to the public comment. Oop, oop.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Okay. Capital Improvement Plan public comment item, and we'll hear from our speakers first before we talk about that. And let's start with John, is it Mauner? Am I close?
I believe it's Mauer.
Mauer, I was pretty close.
Chair, just as a note of process, public comments are limited to 3 minutes and are focused just on the capital improvement plan. And we'll monitor the best we can here with staff to bring it to
I'm
attention.
going to say, since we only have 2 people speaking, 5 minutes.
So generous. John Howard is my name.
There you go.
Thank you. I'm here to, number one, applaud you. I think you commissioners recognize the fact that in 2031, yes, your golden goose is going to sundown. You've got money at hand, $25 million from the 27-page document that you, thank goodness for Ashland E-News, public was made aware of. So what we're looking at, and what I've listened here, is you got a 2-year biennium budget, right, Rocky? And then 4 years beyond that, what are we going to do with those $25 million? Because it may be reinstated, the meals tax, but clearly City Council is going to have the narrative in that. And I do think that you're limited in what your revenue stream is going to be. So to that fact, it was with great concern I read that ZIP document. I looked at the $25 million, how it was allocated, obviously a dream list, but I went through the list. And I was a little surprised, disappointed to be sure, that there was no mention of the word golf. The disclaimer, yes, I'm a golfer. I'm a taxpayer. Before I go any further, let me interrupt. Jim Lewis, I've been here 50 years. Jim here's been here maybe longer than that. I applaud him. Thank you for that for your service. You have been wonderful. Moving on. As a taxpayer, looking at our golf course, it's an amenity to be sure, but surely, as a taxpayer, there should be a cash flow that minimizes what us taxpayers are paying for the golf course. Surely it can be run as a business and should be run as a business. Other municipal courses in this state are run as a business and do an incredible job at that. As a golfer, my fellow golfers are frankly embarrassed. Ashland Oak Knoll is a laughing stock in Southern Oregon. It is if they even know it exists. Certainly the rest of the state does not know it exists. You go online and look at the 100 top public golf courses in the state of Oregon. There's no mention of Oak Knoll, to be sure. We live in a community where excellence is appreciated at every level, okay? We have the best school district. Dr. Adams went through Ashland High School. It was arguably the best school district in the state. No doubt about that. We have a Lithia Park that is incredible. I mean, we just spent an awful lot of time talking about Lithia Park and what it deserves. Yet John McLaren in 1916, when he redesigned Lithia Park, he was quite an architect. But do you know that Sam Whiting, who designed Olympia Golf Club in San Francisco, along with Harding Park in San Francisco, both on the PGA Tour, arguably a bigger named architect than John McLaren is, all right? You have that, who's going to turn 100 years old. Our golf course will turn 100 years old during this very, very 6-year period of time. Before this goose dies, that is meal stacks, Oak Knoll will be 100 years old. Surely, okay, it's time for it no longer to be the millstone that you treat it as. Okay, it's got to be the last thing you want to deal with is that goddamn, 70 acres out there that requires all this maintenance, and it's a cost, and it's an elitist sport. Okay, what are we doing that for? Well, I can tell you that you need to treat it as a business. It needs to be treated as something that certainly should make money. It needs to be marketed. You just can't charge the cheapest greens fees in the lower end of the state and expect that to sell. There's a point where that's no longer a bargain, and you've reached that point. The great debacle of the brownout of 2 years ago, okay, that was a marketing disaster. Not only did you lose the greens that is trying to come back, but you lost your market. Those golfers, 144 senior golfers today out every Wednesday at Stone Ridge plays golf, all right? You've got a market. You already know it here. You've mentioned it many times. This town isn't getting any older. You've got an incredible market right here. Senior golfers, if you capture them, oh, they'll hit golf balls at the range, and you ought to do that. But rarely are they going to, I mean, with much more limited frequency do they actually play golf on the course. It's winner rules forever. If you don't know what that means is you can't hit off the fairway. You got to move the ball to a piece
Mr.
of
Monner,
grass.
if you could
All right, so what
wrap
we
up.
have here, what these next 6 years, or this SIP plan, and when I talked to Rocky, I talked to Rachel, I talked to Brian, they agree. I guess there's no golf in that master plan. It's time for you to treat the golf course as a business. It's no longer, I mean, it is. It's not going to go away. It's 70 acres that you've got to take care of, and your market is elsewhere. It can be redesigned to attract senior golfers. It can be redesigned to be far more zero-scaped. It could be a links course. You got acreage that doesn't need to be watered. You need to put in a well. We talked to that. I talked to the water master personally. We need retention ponds. All of that takes money, takes planning, and you need to put some money into it, okay? If not, it's lost, and it's going to cost you and me, the taxpayers, far more money than it's costing you in its current budget, guaranteed.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
listening.
much. Thank you
That's
very
my
much. We appreciate your testimony.
again.
Thank you. And our second presenter or commenter is Rebecca Kay.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Happy to be here. I'm Rebecca Kay, an Ashland resident, and I'm here to speak in support of the $24 million CIP plan being presented, and specifically the $12 million that's mentioned in that for a potential new pool at some point in the future. I'm also in favor of extending the food and beverage tax beyond its current sunset date of 2030. I know you guys know the mission statement, but for the public record, APRC's mission statement is to provide and promote recreational opportunities and to preserve and maintain public lands. So along those lines, I would like to share with you the benefits of a community swimming pool. Public swimming pools foster community connections, promote fitness for all ages, improve public safety through water safety education, and create career and volunteer opportunities. Public pools offer inclusive spaces for recreation, helping underserved residents access water-based activities, and provide water therapy and fitness for older adults. They also provide competitive water sports for our youth. A public pool provides swim lessons, which is a life-saving skill for everyone to learn. They host social events and they support mental and physical health. Pools contribute to water safety through trained lifeguards and accessibility initiatives, which fosters a healthy and more connected society. So as you can see, the benefits of a community pool fall perfectly in alignment with APRC's mission statement. What is not part of your mission statement is that APRC facilities must produce some kind of a profit or that their revenue should cover their operations. So along those lines, I'd like to share some financial data with you. I requested from the city recorder a financial report for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. And from that, I pulled out revenue and expense facts and figures for the particular facilities that do produce some revenue. And these figures are approximate percentages because there's a little difficulty because of the category called personnel services. And what I'm referring to, for instance, is, for the pool, there's a staff person who does have pool responsibilities, but that's not all of his responsibilities. He might spend an hour or two a week at the pool, but he also has lots of other responsibilities. So under that category of personnel services, that includes, not only his salary, his vacation, his health insurance, his blah, 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 so it's all spread out. So what I'm going to share with you are approximate figures. For 2022, 2023, for the facilities that did have some revenue, the golf course, it was 19% revenue over expense. The nature center was 1% revenue over expense. The senior center was 8% revenue over expense. The ice skating rink was 96% revenue over expense. And the Daniel Meyer pool was 57% revenue over expense. And as a note, I'd like to share with you that the Rogue Valley Masters swim team uses the pool year-round and has entered into facility usage contracts with parks for the past 9 years. And for this year that I took a look at, fiscal year 2022, 2023, RVM paid over $19,000 to parks for their use of the pool. Seasonally, Ashland High School swim teams and Phoenix High School swim teams use the pool, as well as both high schools' water polo teams, as well as a private club water polo team. And they also contribute towards, they pay for their water usage. I would like to add that the RVM swim team welcomes swimmers of all ages from 18 and beyond, and all skill levels. The team is inclusive and it's diverse, so it is inaccurate for some people in the community to label them as elite swimmers. To those folks who now say, well, now you can go to Rogue X in Medford, I would respond to them as, sure, as soon as you take your dog every day to a dog park in Medford, as soon as you go hiking and biking in Medford, yeah, we'll go to Rogue X. as soon as you go play pickleball and tennis in Medford, so you get the gist there. It just isn't something that, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that Ashland needs its own community pool. And while some of the park facilities do have a revenue stream, that's not the goal or the aim according to your mission statement. And, well, let me just summarize it by saying there are some other wonderful facilities that parks have: 8 pickleball courts, 8 tennis courts, Lithia Park and all 19 parks and 766 acres of open spaces, 53 miles of hiking and mountain bike trails, and the Japanese Garden. So all of these facilities are beautifully maintained by all of you and your staff, and they're immensely enjoyed by the Ashland residents and our tourists. In summary, I just want to say that regardless of producing revenue or not, all of the facilities are in line with APRC's mission statement, and each facility, including a community pool, offers its own unique benefits for Ashland residents, and that's what makes Ashland such a wonderful place to live. I'm in favor of implementing this new CIP budget, and specifically the $12 million earmarked for the pool, and I'm in favor of extending the food and beverage tax as well. So I just want to say thank you very much for all the good work that you and the staff do. It's greatly appreciated by us in the swimming community as well as everyone else at large. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and giving us this comment.
Any questions or comments?
No, we don't have a two-way
that's right.
conversation on this sort of a situation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That concludes the public comment on the capital improvement plan. Bringing us to item 8 on the agenda, which is items from commissioners and staff. Anybody have anything they would like to bring to the group? Doesn't look like it. Okay, then Commissioner, sorry. I demoted you. The director, Rocky Houston, was going to help us through the look ahead.
Can I delegate that? So, the look ahead. So we have a holiday party to attend on the 20th. Our next meeting would be, actually, our next event that we'd like all of you to attend is on December 16th at 4:30 p.m. here, where we will be swearing in the 2 new commissioners. One is in this room, as well as we'll be celebrating the service of our 2 members who are leaving the commission.
Let me just point out that that's a joint swearing in for
Yes.
all newly elected officers, so it's council and commission.
Thank you. There's going to be cake, Jim. We'll see what we can do. As well as there's going to be a photographer. And so why everyone needs to be here, Justin, is that it allows us to get a headshot for everyone for our website so that we can do all the really cool graphics with every one of you as well. So I want to thank you all for doing that. Then there will be a reprieve until we get to our one regular business meeting on January 8th. Dates are like names for me now. And then we will have our retreat on the 17th of January on Friday.
Okay, so what do we have queued up for the meeting on the 8th?
A lot. So we will have a park operations maintenance and management plan sort of staffing review, kind of looking at what our level of service is. We have the He's got it right in front of him, and I don't. He's messing with me. We've got, hopefully, the draft budget. So we'll have an informational item talking about the budget direction we've got for this year. We'll have a recreational division annual report. We're trying to spread out all of those, whether they're committees or division updates throughout the year, so it's not all at one time. We have the election of the chair and vice chair. We have the Trails Advisory Committee appointments, low battery, and we have the Advisory Committee and Management Advisory Committee assignments, so that is your liaison work. And there's a proposal for a Lithia Park committee, advisory committee, as well as an informational item that we're reviewing as
And I'll
well.
be speaking to that in January. You skipped over the CIP adoption.
Oh, yes, yeah, the big thing, yes. And then we'll have the capital improvement plan adoption, where we will take all the comments we received tonight, all that we've received so far, as well as those that will be through the 15th, another 11 days, and revisit any potential changes and present that all to you for adoption. And then that becomes our direction for capital projects for the budgeting process and over the next years. And then we'll repeat this in 22-ish months all over again.
And just for general information, the budget committee will be meeting, the Citizens Budget Committee, which is the council and 6 appointed citizens, will begin sometime in probably late winter, early spring to work on the next biennium budget.
Yeah, and I believe I believe we call it the city managers. We'll be presenting in February, I believe, where our draft budget will be presented to the city manager and then on to the committee. And then hearings will occur, I believe, in April. Maybe there might be a meeting in March and then in April.
It has varied, and I don't know
Yeah.
what the calendar is this year.
For
but-
adoption.
So we're moving toward
Yeah,
supporting our budget
yes.
when we present it, when you present it. We watch you present it to the budget committee. Okay, thank you. Busy month in one meeting. And then we have the retreat. So the retreat is an important thing where we look at our goal setting. That brings us to our next meeting date section, which is section number 9. APRC regular business meeting will occur on January 8th. We were just discussing that. It was listed as tentative on here because we hadn't approved the schedule yet, but that's 6 o'clock right here in council chambers. ASAC, the Ashland Senior Advisory Committee, will meet in person all year. The first meeting is January 13th, Senior Center at 3:30. The RDAC, the Recreation Division Advisory Committee, will be meeting January 16th at the Lithia Park Cabin at 4 p.m. And then we'll be back here, APRC study session, the first Wednesday in February, which is the 5th at 6 o'clock here in person. And with that, the meeting's adjourned.